Good afternoon everybody and welcome to Wild Earth this afternoon. And this seems to be the story of my life today. The animals keep disappearing behind bushes and trees. But hopefully that's not going to be the case for this afternoon's game drive. But welcome on board Wendy this afternoon here at Djuma Game Reserve in South Africa. My name's Tara and on camera we have Brian with the thumb. And back in front of control we have Andrew. So I'm hoping it's going to be a fantastic drive. We had a wonderful one this morning. We spent most of the drive following one of the Matimba male lions, and he actually gave me the runaround this morning. We had his tracks and mixed in with the Unkahumas. There was two of them that crossed the dam wall at Gowrie last night, sometime around 11:30, and his tracks were actually over the top of those. And I looked at those thinking, whoa, they're fresh. Maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So we started following them. We looked around by the dam. We couldn't see them, but I couldn't go past the lodge too closely because it was just before game drive. So we started going off after the rains finished, looking for the tracks. We went over the dam wall. We found the female tracks, and there was another male track mixed in there as well. So we started off all the way down central, and we saw some elephants actually just on the junction to Gowrie Cutline and Central. And the male had gone left, and I couldn't see the females, but I thought maybe they were there. And then we get a call through saying that there was a Matimba heading towards Gowrie Dam from Voyatella, where I originally had the tracks, which is a bit confusing. So we headed back, and we actually caught up with him. And it looks like he was actually trying to find the females. He literally put his nose to the ground and was like a tracker dog, and he was trying to follow where those females went. So we actually saw where those females went. And he followed the scent, and he's actually ended up on the boundary of Torchwood on Cheetah Cutline. And something funny happened there. He actually got himself towards where the old hyena den was, which apparently has been active, and there has been a carcass there. We went to check it out, and just as I was trying to find it, we did hear a call, and it sounded like it was actually the hyena. And as we got there, the lion had been chased off by the hyena by the looks of it. And so he started making his way back towards Twin Downs, and then he decided actually no, he wasn't going to go that way after all, and he turned around and went into the bush. So I'm not sure if he was actually trying to catch up with them at that stage after that, but he was certainly on a mission when we first caught up with him. So it was quite interesting to watch all that this morning. But let's get going and see what we can find this afternoon. It was fairly overcast this morning, which was great cat weather, and the temperature's not too bad this afternoon, so I'm really hoping we might catch up with him or maybe one of the leopards. But I'll fill you in rest as we carry on. But just to give you an update for those of you who weren't able to join us this morning, I wonder actually if we can't see those impala a little bit closer, because those two boys are still sparring by the looks of it. And there's a beautiful kudu bull who actually crossed just in front of us just before we went live, hiding in the bush here somewhere, so it'd be nice to see if he is around. It looks like he disappeared. As I say, the elephant, we also had an elephant while it was raining, keeping us entertained, and he managed to hide behind, oh there he is, behind a very thick bush. And a tree as well. He was quite a big bull, and to hide behind that tree was quite something. I'm going to just pull forward, just see if we can get a nice view of the kudu bull. And we might be able to just see the impala sparring. There we go, beautiful horns. You can see why he's part of the sparrow-horned family. One of the larger antelope that you'll see here at Djuma, and you might just be able to see the impala just in front. And he's probably, shoulder-wise, he's probably about 3 times taller than the impala that you're seeing just in front of the bush there. But I think the bush is in the way a little bit to see that, but he is magnificent. Hopefully he'll come out. There we go. Oh, beautiful. That's it, strut your stuff, pal. Now you can see it's a little bit awkward for him to have those horns, and that's one of the reasons why females of the species of antelope that live in the very thick bush, like the kudu, that's the theory that they don't have the horns because they could get them caught in bushes, so it would actually hinder them moving away from predators. But to impress the females, the males grow these magnificent horns. And there's some weight behind them, hey? And you'll see there's quite a thickening of the neck to help support that. And you might have noticed there was quite a large lump on the back of his, or between his shoulder blades, and that's known as a nuchal lump. And white rhinos have this as well because they have quite a large head, and that just helps to counterbalance the weight that they have to carry. But you might just see, if he puts his head back far enough, those horns actually lie flush against his body, and that's how they can manoeuvre through the thicker parts of the bush. I'm just going to see if I can pull forward a little bit. Oh, no, I don't need to. I wonder what spooked him. You might be able to see the baby impala just in front of this beautiful boy. Unfortunately, those rams have finished sparring, but I'm sure we'll see them sparring again at some stage. Here comes the rest of the herd. Come on, keep up, don't get left behind. Otherwise you will become cat food. Oh look, we've got a female suckling a young there on the right. Oh, look at that. Always looks a little bit painful to me. And you can just see the kudu disappearing off behind her there. Yep, that's enough. Now they will be drinking milk probably up until about 6 months, but they will obviously be supplementing their diet and being weaned in that period of time. And they'll start testing food when they're about a month old. Oh, here come the rest of the girls. Everyone looks pretty peaceful. But just good to know where they are, just in case we do hear any alarm calls, or if anything does happen. Oh, beautiful girls. Oh, look at that, that's a beautiful shot. Just looking straight at us. You can see those red star zinnias, I think, just in frame. They've lost a lot of their colour. But they are a localised weed now. They did come in from South America many, many moons ago. They were this beautiful blood red colour. So it's known as a red star zinnia. The Zinnia peruviana. And you may have been seeing them a lot on Drive recently, but see, they are starting to die back now. Oh, check, look at them. All trying to get into a bit of shade. Oh, beautiful. Alright ladies, we're not going to disturb you. Don't panic. It's funny, when I'm that close to an animal, I will keep the vehicle running just that little bit longer. It's because if you switch off straight away, sometimes that can startle them. So when we're that close, I do tend to just let it run just to settle them down a little bit, and then you turn off and they don't seem to be as panicked. So, I think yeah, we'll head down towards Philemon's Dip. Maybe take a quick turn by Twin Dams. I'm thinking maybe, sorry, Treehouse Dam, and then maybe we head down towards Twin Dams, see if the lion has made his way that side. So we ended up following the lion for quite a lot of the drive. I must admit, we actually lost track of time completely. I didn't realise how quick Drive had gone. But he certainly had a pace on him, and he covered quite a lot of ground in such a short space of time looking for those Nkahuma females. And it's possible that his brother was following something to eat, or maybe headed back up towards the Manuletti where the rest of his brothers are. So apparently there's 5 Matimba still. And I had a blonde moment. I had forgotten that I actually have met these lions before. And there were 6 of them originally, but now there's 5. And 3 of them tend to spend most of the time up in the Manuletti in the north. And the 2 come back down this side on a fairly regular basis by the sounds of it. But what was interesting, they have split up. And if they're not careful, that's going to be their downfall. They're going to make themselves open to attack from other coalitions. And that's exactly what happened to the Mapocos. If you remember, they were reigning here. They were reigning terror in some ways. But they started getting a little bit too confident, and they started breaking away and going off in pairs, and that's when the Majingilans came in. And some of you might remember the battle between Kinky Tail and Mr. T, and they actually killed one of the Majingilans, and almost it looked like in retaliation, if animals are really able to retaliate in a way, but it almost came across like that. Later on that afternoon, they actually killed Kinky Tail, and Mr. T ran off into the west, almost in search of the rest of the coalition, the rest of the Mapocos, but they didn't come with him. But I think the Mapocos' reign is now over, but the Majingilans weren't much better. They were actually going past the area where it was believed they killed a Styx female. I remember Patrick found it, and the Majingilan was actually eating her, which is not normal, but it does happen. The Mapocos were renowned for killing lions, females and males. And I think quite a famous video was put out on YouTube with that attack by the Majingilans. Quite a brutal video. But unfortunately, nature can be like that sometimes. Oh yeah, we were going to go to Treehouse Dam first. Just to have a quick look around there, and then we'll make our way over to Twin Dams. And then we'll come back to the Hyena Den. So we did have a look around at the Hyena Den on the Cheetah Line, and there was nobody there, but I wasn't really expecting to see any movement, just because of the lion being there fairly recently. So I think any pups that were in there. There's supposed to be 2. I think they would be in hiding and make sure that they're well away, but it looked like the adult protected the den quite nicely. So we came up to the hyena den on Philemon's cut line, and again no movement, so I was wondering if they would still be around. But as I say, there can be times when you go there and mum's not there, so baby makes sure that it's nice and safe and stays in the hole. And literally just as I was saying goodbye, little Tumbela poked its head out and said goodbye as well, which was fantastic. And it looks like she likes the name, so I think we are settled on a name. I think she likes it. She seemed to stick around for it. So Tumbela, which means to hide. So I actually asked Zutwa, who does a little bit of cleaning for us, how to spell it. So it's spelled Tubela, Bella, to hide. And I thought it was probably going to be shortened to Bella, which I thought was very fitting. She is beautiful. So Tubela, to hide. And that was kind of incorporating some suggestions. Hey, Mr. Ram. Actually, we didn't see the rams, did we, very well? Just pull back a little bit, just in case we've got some people on board who've never seen an impala and an impala ram. I actually think they're beautiful antelopes. Hello, boys. And these are actually the 3 we saw yesterday. They're hanging around here. So they're forming a little bachelor group. So when it's outside the breeding season, they'll form these bachelor groups to make sure they've got enough eyes and ears open to check out predators and make sure they're not going to be eaten. But as the season goes on and we start going into the breeding season, which is going to be around March, April, May time, depending on well, the day shortening, that has a lot to do with it, and the reduced nutrients in the grass, that tends to trigger hormones in the females, and that tends to trigger the hormone increase in the males. And that's why the birthing will actually be changed each year slightly, depending on what's happening now. But once that happens, these boys are no longer going to be friends. They're going to start holding on to a territory, the fittest ones out of them. They'll hold on to a territory, and then when the females pass through that territory, they will try their best to keep those females within their territory. And they will not eat, they will not sleep, and they will try and round them up, just like a sheepdog rounds up sheep. He will make sure he'll try and push them towards the centre of his territory, make sure no other male has access to them. It's very funny to watch that, and he'll roar at them and keep pushing them into the centre of his territory again, and the females kind of do what he says for a little while, and then they decide, you know what, we want to go for a drink or we want to move on, and nothing he can do can stop them. It's very funny. But because they don't eat and sleep, they do lose condition very quickly. So in a matter of a few days, they'll lose condition, and that's when another male might come in and challenge him for his territory, fight him, and if he wins, then he'll be pushed out, and that male will then go back into a bachelor group, regain his strength, and then go and challenge again for his territory. So it's not an easy life being a male impala. But for now, at least, they're friends. And the other bit of news I need to fill you in on was there was actually a pride up by Impala Plains, and I'm thinking maybe we'll try and make our way there in a short while. But we were fairly close to Cheetah Cut Line at that stage, or we were on Central, somewhere that side anyway, so we were quite a distance. And when the call came in, someone did say that they were already getting mobile and heading west towards the Triple M boundary, which of course is unfortunately just at the edge of where we're able to view from. So we weren't able to get there and catch up with those lines, but maybe someone's able to have spoken to one of the lodges that side, and maybe we can get an idea on which pride it was that was there. But as I say, with it being overcast, we had a huge thunderstorm, so after we left you last night there was a lot of thunder sort of crossing that side of the reserve, but there was a huge storm coming in from the south of Twin Downs, so we watched for a little bit longer to see if we could see Djuma anymore, but he was still flat, so we decided to leave him and head back. And it's a good job we did, because all that lightning, it really looked like a disco. I'm sure some of you were watching it on the Gowrie camera. It was just absolutely incredible. We were out there trying to take pictures before the rains hit, and then first thing this morning, about an hour and a half before we went live, there was some hail. We've got a question coming in. I'm not sure who it's from. Amelia from Virginia. So welcome on board this afternoon. Great to have you with us. And apparently knowing quite a bit about the spiral horned antelope, but what about the sloping back antelope, and who's part of that group? And that, oh, Ellie! Ellie! Oh, nice! See if we can maybe get a little bit closer to this one. That one's just disappeared behind the tree. And a little bit of a slope here. Hello, beautiful. It looks like they've been bathing in the middle. Oh, there's a little one. Now, don't get Mum upset. I'm hoping she'll come out from behind the tree. Come on, little one, come and say hello. There we go. I think this might be the same herd that we saw yesterday. Oh no, I can see the tusks. This one does have the beginnings of its second set of tusks. They do have milk tusks. They shed after about a year old. Just trying to work out what it is they're eating. It looks like a little vine or something. Yeah, Mum's eating it as well. She should be coming out of the trees very shortly. But yeah, that youngster's probably about 5, 6 years old, something like that. Hello, beautiful lady. And you might see that little bird flying around her. That's a fork-tailed drongo. Yeah, you're beautiful. Oh, it looks like she's trying to dig up a root. She's actually a little bit close. I don't really want to turn on the vehicle and spook her. Are we able maybe just to turn the camera around just so we can actually see her?
I can't because it's too
far.
far.
Is it? Ah, okay. A little bit too far.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe if I can roll forward a little bit. Nope. Let me just see if I do change her behaviour by turning on. Okay, just see if I can reverse in here for you. Turn her head, yes, alright baby, I know. I'm a little bit further away from her now. She did turn her head, but she seems to be okay. Got a funny looking tuss. One of them's at a slight angle. I wonder if she's going to go back to digging up a root. She was just using her foot and actually just kicking up the dirt. There's still quite a lot of green vegetation around, so it's quite surprising that she is digging up a root, but maybe it's quite a nice succulent root. Because they tend to do that more in the winter time when all the nutrients are locked up in the roots of the bushes and the trees. Now you might wonder why on earth elephants have a trunk in the first place. And if you look at how long their legs are, and obviously the body's quite far off the ground, so they had a bit of a problem. Do they grow a long neck like the giraffes, or do they grow something else? So rather than growing a long neck, and obviously all the muscle and everything that goes along with it, the trunk actually started extending instead. And it really is an amazing appendage. And say they actually have about 8 muscles in that trunk, and it's divided up into about 149,000 fascicles, so they can bend it this way and that way, forward and backwards, and you can see them rolling it up. They can reach their mouth with it. And it is a bit of a myth, they can't actually drink water all the way through the trunk. What they'll do is they suck up the water into the trunk and then squirt it into the mouth. But it's not like a straw, they can't use the trunk like that. And I'm hoping that maybe this afternoon we have Gabby and Cruz on board with their Grandma Penny, and I'm hoping you're seeing the elephants and enjoying them. I do believe they might be watching from Grandma's house and Opar Bobby. I will come back to the antelope question just now. It's lovely to spend a little bit of time with the elephants. Hi Valerie from Pennsylvania, good to have you on board with us this afternoon. And I think obviously thinking about the storm that we had last night, Valerie wants to know if animals ever get struck by lightning. And sadly they do. I remember on the reserve I used to work at, we had a huge storm, and out on the upland plains we did find a number of impala that had been struck by lightning. It was quite unusual. I think there was about 5 that we found. So they do get struck on occasion, but I don't think it happens as often as what maybe it should do, considering they're out in the open quite a lot. I say I've actually seen lions sitting out in a thunderstorm, and I thought, you know, they wouldn't like the bangs and crashes that go on, you know, like your pet dogs, especially at home. But no, they were quite happy. They're obviously used to it and grew up with it. And it was a long time before they decided to move and take shelter. Okay, well, the herd are moving slowly that way. I'm just going to turn a little bit more into the road so we can maybe see the little one coming out again. But I think this is just a small family group. By the looks of it, I think that was Mum, and this is probably a couple of her children. And she might meet up with other members of the family at some stage. Let me just see if I can have another look. Ah, okay. She's got some acacia in her mouth. That can't be tasty. Well, I'm sure it's tasty, but with all the thorns on them. And elephants will quite often take a lollipop with them. They'll take a stick or a branch and they'll just chew it as they go and chew the bark of it, and they'll roll it around in the mouth and use the trunk to roll it around in the mouth as they go, and then once they've stripped all the bark off it, they'll just drop it to one side. It looks like looking for Maruda fruits now. The acacias are pretty nutritious, and that's why they do have a lot of thorns on them. So it's to try and protect it from animals eating them, but as you can see, it doesn't always stop them. There are some more elephants on the right there, so maybe there is a couple of small family groups, maybe related. Maybe it's mother and then older daughter with her offspring, or maybe sister, just off to the right there as well. Very peaceful. And they can spend up to about 14 or 16 hours a day feeding. So that's why elephants tend to be fairly active throughout the day and night, constantly moving. They don't have a territory, but they will have quite a large home range. Home ranges aren't defended. That's usually the difference between territory and a home range. Territories are defended. So I was talking about the impala earlier defending its territory, and he'll kick any other impala out of that territory, whereas male elephants don't hold territories. Females will give a chorus to let the males know that they're in estrus, and that can be heard many kilometres away in the hope of reaching males, and they'll come and find the females and mate with them. And it's usually done, if there's a few males around, then you might get a bit of fighting between the males just to try and work out who is the most dominant and to impress the females. Just going to see if I can move on a little bit again. And the other family group's just starting to come to the road again. Slaan vi even blå for mens Katrine. Hanoi and your class this afternoon. Great to hear that you're still with us. That is fantastic to have you on board. And the class would like to know if we get scared being that close to animals. And occasionally your heart does jump into your mouth, depending on how the animals are reacting. But what we try and do is we try and predict where the animals are going, and we put ourselves fairly close to their pathway, so it's up to them if they want to come to us, and it's on their terms to come to us. And if that's the case, they're usually a lot more relaxed than if you try and go to them. It's like if you try and go up to a dog and you try and pat it and you haven't greeted it yet, and the dog might get upset. And it's the same sort of thing. Or if someone comes up to you and just goes right into your face, you think, oh, I don't like that. And it's exactly the same with the animals. So they might just react and say, you know what, I don't like that. And they might get a bit grumpy with you. But if we try and put ourselves where they're walking, and they think, okay, cool, you're there, I'm here, I actually don't mind you. And then it's on their terms that they come up to you. And they're usually a lot more relaxed, so a lot less scary. And that's what happened with the lion this morning. It was on his terms. He came walking right past us. He was close enough I could put my hand out to touch him. But it was on his terms. There's Mama and baby again. You can see, I mean, these elephants, if they wanted to, they could turn this vehicle over in the blink of an eye, but that's not what they want to do. You know, they're very relaxed. And when things do happen like that, which are very rare, but there could be something that you just don't know. There could have been a run-up to that situation. And the animals are just like humans. You know, they have their good days, they have their bad days, and maybe some days they don't want to be anywhere near people. Maybe they don't want to be anywhere near a vehicle. And that's why we always look at what they're doing. Even though we might know the animal, it might be having a bad day, so we just check to see what they're telling us. And that's part of respecting the bush. And if you respect them, they'll respect you. So just like if you're meeting a new dog, you put your hand out to his nose to greet him so he can sniff and see who you are, and then he'll be okay with you patting him. Oh, such a graceful old lady. Very cool. Well, they are starting to move off into the thicker part of the bush. So I think I'm going to try and turn around and carry on heading down towards Treehouse Dam. But how lovely was that, just to sit with some elephants for a little while we're catching their afternoon tea. So as we're heading down towards the dam, I'll come back to the question that I got interrupted by with the elephants. So the sloping backed antelope, which tends to be the wildebeest, the hartebeest, the sesame, and they have the sloping backs, they have quite a large chest area, and a little bit like the hyena, they have a lot of weight on the front, not so much on the back. So they do have that nice sloping back, and if you see an animal in the distance and you're not sure if it's a buffalo or a wildebeest, sometimes the wildebeest can look very dark. So if you look for that sloping back, that can actually help you to determine if it is a wildebeest or a buffalo. And the hartebeest are one of the fastest antelopes on the planet. I think they can get up to like 60 kilometers an hour. And that's because of this large chest cavity. They've actually got quite a large heart to body ratio as well, and that allows them to build up that speed. So obviously a large heart, it pumps the blood around the body, or more blood around the body, so it can oxygenate all the vital muscles and the organs. And they're also very good at long distance running as well, again because of this sloping back, and they have it's almost like this rocking canter. They sort of do this rather than a horse when it canters or gallops. It's a slightly different movement, and it's very good at energy saving, that rocking canter. So they can keep that canter up for quite a long distance. Speaking of buffalo, check out what we have here. Let's get a slightly different view of them for a change. I'm just going to pull him down here. You usually go up onto the wall. Now we have the Egyptian geese. Now I think this is a slightly different family to the ones living on Gowrie Dam. Looks like there's just a few of them there. And how many buffalo? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 old buffalo. Another difference between the buffalo and the wildebeest are the horns. You can see that huge boss, that large growth on top of his head coming down into the horns. And these boys are about a ton in weight. So they'll dwarf those wildebeest quite dramatically. But as I say, if you have a large wildebeest right off in the distance, sometimes it is easy to mistake it for a buffalo. But you can see that the back, it's very horizontal, not sloping like the wildebeest. Now I do seem to remember a conversation about mozzarella quite a long time ago, and I remember someone asking if this is the type of buffalo that you can get mozzarella from, and I believe it's the Asian buffalo, but maybe someone can check it up for us. I think I did a long time ago, and I can't remember if I found out anything about it or not. It's a long time ago, but I'm not sure if the African buffalo you can get mozzarella from African buffalo milk. I'm not sure if anyone would want to dare to try and milk an African buffalo. And obviously the Asian buffalo, its other name is a water buffalo, slightly smaller in size and quite distantly related actually, even though they look very similar. Nyari treehouse dam. Oh, how peaceful is this? If you're just coming back from work, or maybe you're having a half day today, Friday afternoon, hopefully enjoying the sights and sounds of the African bush with us here on Wild Earth this afternoon, from Djuma Game Reserve in the world famous Sabi Sands. And it's quite a pleasant temperature. Yesterday it was extremely hot and it did take quite a while for it to cool off. I'm wondering if maybe we could just pan to where the Egyptian geese are. And this goose is quite widely distributed, and I believe it does make its way over to some countries in Europe as well. But it's believed that on the hieroglyphs there is actually a goose, and it is supposed to be the Egyptian goose on the hieroglyphs. But they are actually quite a pretty bird. And I was actually back in the UK about a month ago, and I was walking into uni, and it was pretty early in the morning. I think it was about 6:30, and I had a little chuckle to myself because there was a parking attendant, and obviously he was training somebody, and I think he must have had a love for birds, and he was saying to them, "Oh yeah, there's some Egyptian geese just there," and true enough there was. They just came waddling out from the car park. I think there was actually a pool at the university, so they're obviously around there for that reason. But it did make me think of Djuma, I must admit, because we always used to get the Egyptian geese calling, especially if there was leopard. They would make a huge noise, let everybody know there was something wrong. So they do get quite far north, quite a widespread bird. And it looks like there's a couple of chicks just behind the buffalo there. I think the parents were the ones that were on the left. Now, can you hear that bird clearly? Okay, I think let's see if you guys have been listening. And maybe if you want to send in answers for what bird is calling that. See who's been listening to their bird calls. Questions at WildEarthTV, put in the subject line what bird it is, or hashtag Safari Live. Let's see if we get any right answers coming back. Very peaceful this afternoon. Shall we head down towards Chelapanwe and Twin Downs? Oh! Thanks Tina in Houston. So the mozzarella that you can buy is made from the Italian water buffalo. Thanks Tina. I'm sure I read the Asian buffalo the domesticated Asian buffalo you can also get the mozzarella from, but maybe someone can check up on that. But yeah, that was something that was taught to me here on Wild Earth, because I'd never heard of where mozzarella had come from, to be honest. And that was the first time I'd ever heard about it. Oh, there he is. And that was the hammerkop flying in. That brown bird just sitting in front of the buffalo now. And we've got those red-billed oxpeckers on the back of the buffalo, looking for any ticks and parasites. But the hammerkop goes for frogs, small fish, and quite often if you see them catch a frog, they'll bring it back to the bank and start hitting it to try and get, especially the platanas. The platanas are a highly aquatic frog, and it has this slime all over it which makes it quite difficult to catch. And they'll actually hit it on the ground to try and wipe all this slime off, and they'll actually roll it around in the sand quite a lot as well before they eat it. But it's called a hammerkop, kop meaning head in Afrikaans. So it looks like an old hammer, the head, that's where it gets its name from. You can see sometimes those oxpeckers do get a little bit annoying. You can see the buffalo trying to use their horn to try and chase them off. That is one of your questions this afternoon. What bird is calling? Cool, shall we leave them in peace? And I'll let you guys think about the bird. Sorry, can you repeat the names again? Gail and Scott. Well done, coming back with the correct answers. Well done, guys. Gail and Scott, first back with Cape Turtle Dove. That is correct. So it's work harder, work harder. Was that Ingrid? I think that was Ingrid. Okay, thanks Ingrid. Just a bit of an update there. So the mozzarella did originate from, Enid, sorry Enid. So the mozzarella did originate from the Asian water buffalo, and then was picked up, were introduced in the 7th century. Wow, that's quite early into Italy. Thanks for that, Ingrid. Enid. So you get a name in my head and then it sticks. So we're going to slowly make our way down towards Cheddar Pan, and I'm going to look out for a whodunit for you guys this afternoon. Remember, it could be a track or it could be some dung. It's all to do with the signs, and this is part of being a guide, is looking for these track signs and trying to use them to try and find where the animals are. Now we've been looking for just bumping into elephants and bumping into buffalo. Good afternoon to you, Arlene. Welcome on board this afternoon in Connecticut. Arlene wants to know, how old does a buffalo get in the wild, and how old will it be before it becomes a duggar boy? Nice question there, Arlene. Ooh, this is good sand. Maybe we get some tracks here. Not been too much movement around here. But the buffalo, if memory serves me correctly, are usually up to about 26 years old. That would be extremely old for a buffalo. So you're looking about 20, 26 years old. And the males, I don't think there's really a set age for them to become a duggar boy. What happens is they'll tend to move around in a herd, and you'll have the females with the calves, and then you'll have the males also as part of the herd, and there'll be a number of males in their prime, and as they get older they just start to become that slower, and they just can't quite keep up with the pace of the herd as much as they used to, and their teeth are going to wear down as well, so they can't really eat Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for the slight delay with the signal. I forgot we had quite a bit of cloud cover this morning, so we had a good signal there. This is where we lost the lion this morning, so I thought maybe we'd just give it a go just to see if he is still around here. Maybe because it was getting slightly warmer, we might have found somewhere just to go and snooze for the afternoon. Some francolins calling quite far in. Maybe we'll just do a loop on Redwood and just see if we can get lucky. There's nothing here at the moment in Gary, Maine. From it. From it. Can you confirm where that lock is? Can you confirm where that lock is? I think we're also having problems with ours. Can you hear me better? Can you confirm where that lock is? Confirm Buffletuck. Confirm, are they Buffletuck or Torchwood? Copy, thanks. Oh, I was getting excited then. I thought there was 2 cheetah at Buffletuck Dam, but it was actually Buffletuck slightly further north. Almost this close. It'll be nice to see some cheetah. Hey, Brian was saying he hasn't seen cheetah here yet. Okay, this is a hyena den. I'm just going to go around the other side and say I'll be very surprised if anybody does show their face after the lion being here. But just to show you guys, you may have missed the drive with us this morning. So this is where the line came through. Can't see anybody around. So I would be very surprised if they stick around for that. So I think Mum did a good job of defending the den. So this is the den that's just off of Cheetah Cut Line. There at this stage. Sorry, can you repeat the name? Kim, welcome on board, Kim from Arkansas. Good to have you on board. And Kim wanting to know, are there any bushfires? Oh, Tim, sorry, not Kim. Sorry, Tim. Welcome on board. But yeah, Tim wants to know that the bushfires are a big problem here in the Sabi Sands. And I do seem to remember there was a couple of big fires when I was here last, over 3 years ago now. And it was getting to the point where it was all hands on deck. And as it was moving up the reserves, each staff, or all the staff on that property, were being called in just to be on standby. Oh, there's a steam bomb. Just to be on standby. It might just be. Oh, let's just stop behind that bush. Let me just see if we can. No. So I was going to see if we can just pull forward slightly so you can see it. He's gone. But obviously, not being here for 3 years, I'm not sure if there has been any big bushfires recently. It doesn't look like it. But fires are part of the natural way of life here in the bush, and it is actually needed, especially in this type of habitat. The biome that we're actually in, there's 9 major biomes in South Africa, and the savannah, which is where we are, is one of them. And it actually needs fire, so it gets rid of any of the, what we call moribund, that's the dead plant and vegetation. And especially the firewood, there's a lot of wood that's just strewn around from old trees. And if you're not careful, that just builds up and builds up and builds up, and there's a lot of nutrients in that dead vegetation that needs to be released, and one of the best ways to do it is actually burning it. And obviously you do get fungus and the other decomposers, but fire also helps as well. So it is part of the natural way of things. But obviously, with there being a lot of commercial logic, we've got some trunk drag marks. I don't know if you're going to be able to see them. I think I've just driven over the last of them. Maybe not, just up ahead. Someone was dragging their trunk. There we go, just there. And you can just about make out the baby tracks, and there's mum tracks from the elephant as well. Nice and fresh, there's a lot of detail in them. So we've got to keep a lookout, maybe we'll see them along here. So as I say, the fires are very important. But what often happens where there's commercial lodges is rather than allowing a natural fire to occur, and that will tend to happen when there's a lot of lightning. Now, a natural fire this time of year is not normal because the vegetation has a lot of moisture in it, so it's, there they are. I just saw a butt end. And there's some more here on the right. There's quite a lot of them. So which one of you... Now what's happened here, I wonder? Oh, just looking for marula fruits. Thought something might have happened because it looks like they're all facing outwards with the youngsters in the middle, which is usually how they defend their babies. And there's actually a baby right in between the mothers. There's quite a small baby. There you go. Just fitting underneath the mother's stomach, so that means it's about a year old. And there's two little sparring just behind to the left. There we go. Slightly younger than what we saw earlier. I wondered if maybe they'd seen lions, because that would be a typical pose, but it looks like it's just the way they just happen to be standing as we found them, and just eating all the marula fruits there. So as I say, there's a lot of vegetation with a lot of moisture, so you wouldn't tend to get fires from the lightning now, but certainly just before the rain start, around October, November, that's a big worry when the thunderstorms start. And obviously when it's very, very dry. I hope these little babies are going to come out. I remember I was just talking about them eating bark. That elephant that was just in frame looks like that's what was happening there. Just eating the bark off the stick. But there's the two little ones who are playing, starting to come out. And there's baby. Oh, look at that, it's tiny. Keep up, you're going to get lost. And there's the two just behind the marula tree now, actually pushing each other backwards and forwards. Yeah, a little bit further right, there we go. There they are. Schlambivenlov, east of Cheetah Line. East of Cheetah Line. And that's pretty much what bull elephants will do when they get older. Some of you might remember we were parked fairly close to a marula tree and we had two bulls come up and look for the marula fruits there, and they were getting pretty close. They're probably about 7 meters from us, just right in front of us, sparring like these two are doing. But much, much larger. And I started moving because they were getting fairly close to us, and I tried to move back and forgot that I wasn't in low range and revved just that little bit too much to try and get past the little dip, and interrupted them, unfortunately. But luckily they didn't mind, they got back to what they were doing. As I say, with the herd breaking up, oh, let's go and catch up with those Ellies just at the back there. There's some more sparring as well. But yeah, I think it was just the way when we came up, that was just the way they had to be standing, because if there was a problem, if there was a threat, they wouldn't be breaking up as much as this, and they look very relaxed now. So I don't think they did find the predators. It's just happening to find marula fruits. Apparently today is the day for playing. Oh, look at this. There's like 3 or 4 of them involved now. And that is part of play. You see it looks like there's a couple of very small babies under a year old. But this is why babies play, and it's the same as human children. We pick up a lot of skills and we start building up our muscles, So you'll see a lot of baby animals running around, building their muscles, especially antelope, because obviously that's part of their survival. Oh, there is. There's a tiny little baby just behind those two. There we go. And giving a lot of attitude to everyone around. You see that, holding its head up high, opening its ears. Oh. Oh, look at that. Oh, that is tiny. Oh, that's probably one of the smallest elephants I've seen. Good afternoon to you, Lisa. Lisa wanting to know if we get any big tuskers in the area. And we do have the potential to get the tuskers. Obviously the Sabi Sands is part of the Greater Kruger National Park. And the Sabi Sands is about 65,000 hectares. And it does back on to the Kruger. The Kruger is actually just behind these elephants, probably a couple of k's to the border. But the tuskers tend to be further north in the park. And at Letaba they do have the 7 largest tuskers who have unfortunately died, but they were known as the largest tuskers. The Magnificent 7, I think they were called. So it is possible to see their skulls and tusks in Letaba. And I think Pete was actually saying he saw one that is potentially going to be a tusker further north, I think close to Mopani Bush Camp, which is right up in the top part of Kruger. But unfortunately, with a lot of the hunting of elephants, that gene seems to have died out, because the tuskers were obviously the ones that the hunters wanted to go for, the big tusks, and they've actually been reduced in size. The tusks have been reduced in size, possibly because of it. So you don't tend to get tuskers as much as you did in those days. And that's why there's quite an excitement when there is one that's a potential tusker. But as I say, nothing nearly as big as what they used to be. Which is extremely sad. And remember, the tusks of an elephant are the equivalent of our front teeth. They are the incisors. And inside their mouth, they don't have teeth like we do. They actually move from the back of the jaw to the front of the jaw, almost like a conveyor belt, and they've got ridges on there to help grind up their food. And they have 6 sets of teeth, and they grow from the back and move to the front, and they'll start to wear down. And as they start to wear down, decay, the next one comes through to replace it. There we go, slowly moving up onto the property known as Torchwood. And that's possibly where the Unkahuma pride are, and that's where our male lion, the Matimba, was searching for them this morning. Hi, Miss Jacobs and her class in Illinois. And another question from you guys. Great to hear you're still with us, and I hope you've been enjoying the elephants. And wanting to know how long I've been researching animals and what type of animals I've been researching. Well, I've actually always been fascinated by animals as far back as I can remember. Probably when I wonder how old, I forget how old you guys are now, maybe you could let me know. But I was about 5 years old, and I remember thinking I'd love to see a kangaroo when I was about 5 years old. And ever since then, it's always been about animals. I've always wanted to see animals. We used to go to the zoos quite a lot when I was younger. But I've always had this drive to come out and see animals out in the wild. And I'm so glad you can join us here, because this is exactly what I wanted to see when I was your age. See the animals being natural in their own environment and enjoying what the African bush had to offer. So I went to university and I did zoology, which was studying their behaviour and everything. And then I came out to be a guide. So I've actually been studying the animals in captivity and out here in the wild for most of my life. But I've been very privileged to be able to go and do leopard research for 3 years, and that's why I haven't been guiding for Wild Earth for 3 years. I've been about 3 hours drive from here. Oh, we have a starling in front. We've got some hornbills just up to the right. Say a quick hello to the hornbills. Got the red-billed hornbills, and we've got a juvenile buffalo weaver just to the left of them. And it looked like it was one of the starlings that was on the road there. So yes, I've been privileged enough to go and study leopards, especially after following our favourite leopard, Karula. I really fell in love with leopards. It was always tigers right from an early age as well. And I still have a very big passion for tigers, but leopards are the equivalent, the African equivalent out here. They're much smaller, but oh, they're amazing creatures and beautiful to watch as well. So I've been studying those over in another reserve, but I'm not as privileged. I don't get to see them as often as what you do here in the Sabi Sands, but we follow them with camera traps and pictures, and I'm trying to work out where they move and what areas they like, and help to try and protect them from people in the area, trying to help people understand them a little bit better so that they don't try and kill them, because unfortunately leopards do like to eat livestock on occasion. Oh, there we go, we've got the starling just in front of us here. Unfortunately you can't see the metallic colours that are usually on this starling. And can you believe it? His name escapes me. I'm just going to have a sneaky peek in my book again. It's been a long time since I've seen this guy. And there's a name on my lips and I know it's not the right one. Maybe you guys want to have a go at IDing him as well. Birchall's, there we go. Birchall starling. Oh, I gave the name away, didn't I? Of course you are a Birchall's. Sorry everyone, if anyone was just about to send in your answer. How can I forget Birchall's? Tell you, 3 years away. Just something to your brain. Well, welcome on board, India. I'm not sure where you're from, but great to have you with us. India wanting to know what makes a tusker and what are the qualifications for being a tusker. And it's really just an elephant that just has extremely large tusks, and they are capable of growing a tusk that can weigh up to 100 kgs on either side, and 100 kgs is roughly about the same as a baby elephant. So he carries around a baby elephant on each side of his face. Can you imagine? But that could be some of the largest tusks. But I forget how heavy maybe someone can help me out with the weights. I want to say maybe one of the tuskers was like 300 kgs, but maybe that was too much. Maybe someone can check that out for us, the weights of the tuskers in the past. but it's just extremely large tusks, and they tend to reach these large sizes once they get older, because the tusks do grow throughout the life of the elephant, but they seem to have a bit of a growth spurt right towards the end. And it tends to be the old bulls. I've not heard of females. I mean, I think that would be the equivalent tuskers of the females, but nothing like the males. Good afternoon to you, Kathleen. Welcome on board this afternoon. And a little bit of a controversial question there. Do I agree with rehabilitating animals to put them back out in the wild? And to be honest, I think it really depends on the circumstances. And obviously what the situation is with the animals. Because I know the ground hornbill projects, we're actually trying to rescue the ground hornbills. Because ground hornbills are actually quite a large bird that's found here in Kruger, and unfortunately it is threatened because of the loss of habitat and loss of nesting trees, because they like to nest in fairly large trees. They need to have quite a large hole in the tree. There'll be very few trees that they can actually nest in. And the loss of those trees have had quite an impact. And the ground hornbills, they'll lay 2 eggs, but only 1 chick will survive. And they'll feed that 1 chick. So whichever chick is dominant, they'll feed that chick. And unfortunately, the other one does die. So what they try and do is they try and rescue the 2nd chick, and they'll take that away and try and rear it, and then put it back out to the wild to try and help the wild population. But what they do, they're actually very clever, because when baby animals are first born, they imprint. And what that means is whatever they see first, they'll start following and think that's mum. And that's why a lot of the antelope will actually give birth by themselves. There's a little steenbok just through here. So they'll give birth by themselves so that the baby can actually recognise mum, or mum can recognise baby. I don't know if can you see it just through. Oh, there's 2 of them. Just through there. There we go. Steenbok. Dwarf antelope. Well, they've just moved off, but nice to see them. You don't get to see the steenbok very often, especially where I usually work, but they're a little bit more common around here, which is really nice to see. But still, with them being so small, you don't often see them. So yeah, as I say, the babies are quite often taken away so they can recognise mum, so they'll only follow mum. So if you take a chick or a baby animal and you hand rear it, quite often it'll think that you're mum, and there can be quite a few problems associated with that, because they don't realise that they're that type of animal. So they think that they're human, so they don't know that they need to mate with their own kind, and that can cause quite a few problems. So what they do is they actually have glove puppets to look like the adult hornbills, so that the babies realise that they actually, that kind of animal. Oh, there's a little squirrel here on the branch, just in front of us, little tree squirrel. There he goes. I wonder if we're going to get a nicer view of him. Because this little guy is one of the little ones that, if the alarm calls, it's quite good to actually listen out for, but they can be a little bit wishy-washy. Sometimes they call and it's actually for a snake or something they're not quite sure of, but they'll call anyway. Maybe a bird of prey, but sometimes they can be spot on, sometimes they can be seeing a leopard or a lion. But it looks like he's gone hiding. That's a shame. Okay, let's see if I can find another one for you. So yeah, so when it's obviously to try and save the species, then, and it's done correctly, then it can actually be beneficial. But the problem is nowadays there is so much habitat loss. You have to make sure that if you're rehabilitating the animals and putting them back out in the wild, that they've actually got somewhere safe to go. And that's part of the very, very big problem that we're facing. There isn't always somewhere for them to go. Quite an interesting question. As I say, there's obviously lots of different sides to it. But if it is done correctly and it's done for the right reasons, and there is a place for them to go, then humans have impacted on animals so much. I think it's only right that we actually try and help right that wrong. Brilliant. Oh, so we got quite a range on board this afternoon, from 10 years old to 18 with Miss Jacobs. So it's great to have you all on board, and thank you very much for your questions so far. Keep them coming in. So yeah, actually I remember being asked when I was 10 years old, I remember being asked, well, we were all asked in our class, what would we like to be when we grow up? And they got to me and I said a wildlife photographer and protector. I'm almost there. Okay, Richard from the UK, the largest tusker he could find was about 55 to 60 kilo tusk in weight. So I might have just overestimated on the 100 kilo mark. And I think there was another one a bit earlier. I was just being sidetracked by the Steenbok. I think there was another one, Jamal, who was about 70 kilos. Joal. So one of the Magnificent Seven from Kruger was about 70. Maybe it was about 70, 80, maybe that was the one. I remember it being roughly about the same size as a baby elephant on each side. So it's just shy of a baby elephant then. Okay, well, no sign of our lion. Okay, well, let's head up Cheetah Cut Line, because I actually haven't been that far up yet on Cheetah Cut Line. And I really would love to get to that hyena den again this afternoon. It share with you guys little Bella, who is just absolutely adorable and is about a month old. Bella. So apparently it's spelled T-U-B-E-L-A. Bella. Oh, have another squirrel in the road. Yes, it is, hiding behind the dung. Just a little bit far away. But that is a little tree squirrel. And believe me, they might be small, but they have got a huge voice. And they get very upset if you don't listen to them. Oh, he's found a marula nut, look. You can hear the francolins just on the left there. Okay, so we need another whodunit question. So I'm going to look out for some tracks. That one's too easy now. I think everybody knows this one. Elephant. Doing one more drive-by just in case we see that male. I thought that was my vehicle making a funny noise then. No, it's an aeroplane. It's alright, Wendy, we're not taking off, not today. Privileged to fly out once over the sands, and wow, that was amazing. So we'll head up Cheetah Good Line and maybe go through to Buffers Hook Dam. Let's just have a look around there. Good afternoon to you, Laura. Welcome on board. Laura wanting to know, do cheetah and wild dog fight each other? And the way of the bush... Oh, sorry, hyenas and wild dogs. Well, the way of the bush, it depends on two things. How big you are and how many you are. So, it'll also depend on what the reason for fighting is. If there was some food, and say the wild dogs caught something. Now, if the hyenas were there, it's very difficult really, because the hyenas, the wild dogs, pretty much finish off what they kill pretty much straight away. I've heard of them killing and eating impala within the matter of minutes, as in 1 or 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and it's gone, completely stripped. So hyenas won't really get a look in. But if a hyena was there on the tail and there was enough hyenas, they could potentially chase off the wild dog. If there was a number of wild dog with a hyena, maybe a hyena caught something, if there was enough wild dog, they might be able to chase off the hyena. And again, it will depend on the personalities. But you don't tend to hear of them fighting. I've not heard of any sightings of wild dog and hyena fighting. Maybe some viewers who are on board this afternoon and maybe visited Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, the Kruger, maybe they can help me out with that one. But I've not heard of it, I've not seen it. But this is nature, anything is possible. And the right circumstances, anything is possible. If you'd have said to me a while ago, can leopards catch crocodile? I'd have said, yeah, maybe a baby crocodile, but you know, an adult probably not. But there are the famous pictures of a leopard taking out a 3-meter crocodile. So there you go, anything is possible. Okay, so we've got an answer on what makes a tusker. Apparently they're considered to be a tusker when their tusks are over 45 kilograms. Thanks for that, Derek. So maybe my memory was a little bit etchy on the 100 kilo mark. Apologies for that one. Maybe it was the combined, maybe that's what it was. Oh, so nice, baby. I'll have to look that one up, see where that one came from. Maybe my estimation of the baby elephants is a little bit over. Maybe they're about 80 kilos. Which would have... maybe that's what it was. So if you combine the tusks of the largest tusker, it comes to about 130 kilos, which would be about the baby. That would be it then. So yeah, I think it was carrying one baby around, that was it. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll have to write that down in my little book. So 45 kilos for it to become a tusker, and it sounds like about 65 to 70 were the largest tuskers for one tusk. I mean, that's still pretty heavy. And I wonder if anybody was with me that first drive. It was actually my induction drive, or my interview drive. And I remember we came up Cheetah Cut Line. Obviously I didn't know where on earth we were at that stage. But it was my first ever sighting, being so close to a wild African leopard. And it was Mishu, and he was sitting in one of these marula trees. We did have to go off-road a little bit. And he had a kill with him, and he was probably about 5 meters away from us. Absolutely breathtaking. Got an absolute wonderful sighting of him as he came down from the tree. I was blown away. I was sold on that first day. Absolutely fantastic. Mishu obviously being one of Karula's cubs. He was the second litter, and I have seen the picture of Karula. It was her, thanks to Ellen for pointing that out to us this morning on drive. So Karula was actually found at Cheetah Plains with a kill, and they thought it was actually Tandy, Karula's daughter. It was from her first litter, but it turned out that it was actually Karula herself. Now what is amazing is Karula doesn't tend to reach that far, so we're driving up what is usually the edge of her boundary, her territory, and we've actually followed her on several occasions, walking up this road and actually scent marking, which tends to suggest that that's her territory. And we have also seen her just nip off to the east here to go and catch an impala, and she actually brought it back here and put it onto this side of her territory. So I think it's pretty safe to say that this was actually the boundary of her territory. Very little movement along here. I don't think anybody has been through to Buffalo's Hook Dam this afternoon, so we're going to head through there and just check it out. Hi Gina from Virginia, welcome on board this afternoon. Virginia asking if we get any dik-dik here in Djuma. And dik-dik are a dwarf antelope. I think fairly similar in size to the steenbok, if I'm not mistaken. But I've actually never seen a dik-dik. I've never seen them here. I don't think they occur here. I'll have to check the distribution on that, or if someone can check the distribution and help me out. But I've never seen them here. I don't think they do occur here. They are one of the other dwarf antelope species. If memory serves me correctly, they've got a funny little nose as well. Just checking any of the termite mounds just to see if there is any leopards lying upon them. So it's a pleasant temperature here at Djuma Game Reserve this afternoon. And if you have just knocked off of work, yay! Welcome on board. And I hope you enjoy the sights and sounds of the bush after a hard week at work. And I'm hoping we can find some wonderful things for you this afternoon. We've actually had some beautiful sightings of elephants so far. We did have the lion this morning. We have been in the area where we left him. But unfortunately, he's either a very flat cat and we couldn't see him, or he has found those Unkahuma females. See there?
Should be able to.
Oh, nice. Sorry if we disturbed you, little one. That looks to be the European roller. It has a lot more blue on it. You can see that blue breast. Oh, thanks, Wanda. So it was actually Chitwa property, but seen by the Cheetah Plains guides. Thanks for that update, Wanda. So Chitwa just the next property along from Cheetah Plains. Well, it's not going to be too long before he's going to start heading further north. As the name suggests, he does migrate back to Europe. The Paleo-Arctic migrants, as they're called. Oh, there's some storm clouds building again. Well, the Birchall's cuckoo was calling again this afternoon. So the Birchall's cuckoo predicts the rain. Although, as I say, it can be anywhere between fairly soon and the next day, sometimes a week. So you do sometimes have to take it with a pinch of salt, but you do know when they start calling, rain is on its way. In fact, actually the red-chested cuckoo is another good one for predicting the rain, especially where I am, because we don't get the Birchall's cuckoo as much. Well, we don't get it at all, unfortunately. Okay, so we'll take Hippo Pools Road. We haven't been down this one yet, actually. Flies keep flying in my mouth, I'm not impressed. Go away. Let's just check out this little pan here. I don't think there's any water in it, but I forgot to check when we drove past it the other day, and It'd be very sad if there's somebody lying up there and we just drive straight past. Yep, there is a little bit of water in here. There's no one taking advantage of that. Oh, time is flying. That's fine. It can rain all it wants as long as it doesn't do it during drive times. So the cats do like that weather, nice overcast weather. So we're on our way up towards Buffer's Hook Dam. I don't think anybody has checked that dam out. And then we'll head west from there. Because what I want to do is maybe drop down and we'll take Impala Road down to Impala Plains. And we'll drop down to the Hyena Den after that. But there was a pride of 6 lions seen on Impala Plains, but they did move west first thing this morning. And as I say, we were actually this side with the Matimba, so we didn't catch up with the 6. And it is possible that they have already gone west. Sorry, who was asking about the Birmingham Lions? Okay, please tell me you're seeing something through there, because I did see something. Ah, it's a steenbok, okay. Well, at least my eyes weren't playing tricks on me this time. Oh no, it's a daker! Yeah, a little daker. I'm not sure where I need to go for you. Do I need to go forward? Yes, I need to go forward. There we go. There we go. Little daker. So slightly different to the steenbok. Grey daker, or common daker. You might just be able to make out the horns. Ah, Laura. Hi Laura, welcome on board. I didn't quite catch it was you asking about the Birmingham Lions. But apparently you're asking if there are still 5 and haven't heard any more from them. And I haven't since, I think it was the first day I was back. They were supposed to be further north on Buffer's Hook. But as far as I understand, there's still 5 of them. So the little daker, one of the other small antelope that we have here at Djuma. I would say quite an unusual diet. Generally speaking, antelope go for grasses and leaves. But that little guy also supplements its diet with fungus and caterpillars. Caterpillars make up quite a large proportion of its diet. Which is quite unusual. Maybe it needs the protein. And I can start to feel that humidity rising. Wow. I think the rain, she's on her way. And I'm keeping a lookout for your who done it question. but there's very little movement up this side, unfortunately. Just listening out here if I can find a squirrel for you to show you the call. As I say, they're quite high-pitched, and it's one of those ones that I'd love to be able to imitate, but I have no chance of imitating that one. Okay, this is going to be your who done it question for this afternoon, and it's a track this time. I'm just trying to see if I can angle myself. It's actually just there in the mud there. Yeah, there we go. This one here. So for those of you who are new to this game, as I said before, I've got quite a big fascination with the tracks and signs left by animals, and that helps us as guides to try and find the animals. Now this is quite an old track by the looks of it, and it's only the one, so that's quite a big giveaway that it is still pretty old. You can see the edges are quite rounded. There's not a lot of detail there, but hopefully you can see two parts to the track. I don't know if I'm going to be able to point to no. See if we stretch. I might need the thumb's help for this. There we go. So you might be able to see the ridge just in the centre of the track. There we go, just there, thank you. I was trying to give you a size estimate as well with my hands, just to give you a size comparison. But that is the one track, and as I say, that's how you can tell if it's fresh or old, is judging by the roundness of the edges and how much detail there is. Remember I said before we had the elephant tracks and someone had dragged their trunk, and I said it was very fresh because they had the creases in the foot, and over time the wind blows and it just gets rid of all that detail, unfortunately. But when you're tracking, it helps to give that information, and that's what was happening with the Matimba. It was confusing me because obviously I didn't really pay much attention to what was going on, and I looked at the track and thought, oh, it's quite fresh, but probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours fresh, not like it's actually there. And I think what happened is the lion walked, he was looking for the others, and the other tracks either side looked a little bit older, but I thought, well, maybe that, you know, as they've been walking, if he was walking, maybe he just scuffed a bit and a bit of dust went in there, and it was a bit windy. So I didn't think too much about it. So the lion must have been sleeping there, and as we drove down to Gowrie Dam, thinking that because it was about an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe they would have carried on and maybe drank and then moved on again. Because they can cover quite a lot of distance within the hour and a half and 2 hours, and a lot of you, if you were on drive, would have seen that this morning. We did cover quite a lot of the reserve following that one line in the same amount of time. But he must have just been around, peeking around the corner to the point where I couldn't actually see him lying down, and I couldn't go any further because I didn't want to disturb the guests at the lodge. So he must have been chilling out for a little while and then got up and carried on once the rain stopped as well. So maybe he was just taking a little bit of cover after the rain. But quite interesting. But if you try and put all that together, it can help you guesstimate where the animals might be. So if you would like to join in, the size of the track, we're looking about that sort of size. So it is pretty big. And I say it's got the two parts of the track, so that should help put it into one type of animal. So I'm not going to give the game away too much, but have a go, see what animal you think it might be. Send your answers either on Twitter, #SafariLive, or questions@WildEarthTV, and let's see if anybody gets it right. Now, it's an animal we haven't seen since I've been back. I would like to see it, so that might help you. And if you're not sure, if you've ever looked at tracks from domestic animals, that might help you. At least get it to put it into the right category. So the first category you've got to ask yourself is, does it eat meat or does it eat vegetation? That's the first one. We've got some big birds sitting in the tree just at the back there. Can you see them through there? Let's say if I need to go further back. Oh, nice. There's a pair of them. There they are. Oh, beautiful. And look at that sky behind them. Beautiful. So if you're sending in your answers for the whodunit, put the answer in the subject title, and if you'd like to ID these two magnificent birds, then you can send your IDs through to the same places, questions@wildearth.tv or #SafariLive, and see if anyone can get the correct ID for these two. Now, the fact that they're sitting as a pair helps to give it away. Look at the vertical stance. That also helps give them away. They're sitting very vertically compared to a lot of other birds of prey. And the stripes on the breast and the black on the wings can also help to identify this bird. Beautiful. That's correct. Heather, well done, Heather. Penny, great to hear you with us, Penny, and I hope... Sorry? Valerie. Annie and Valerie. Ah. Heather, Annie and Valerie. Sorry, I thought Penny was answering as well. Or a Penny. But well done, you correct, it was giraffe. I'm going to pull forward a little bit so you might be able to see it behind the torch. Oh, hey. And there's the hippo, just poking his ears out. Having a little look at us. One of the most animals in Africa. You do not get in water. Okay, welcome back everybody. We just dropped you there a little bit, so we just tried on the other side of the dam. But well done for everybody getting the giraffe question right. And giraffes obviously eat vegetation. And that's how you can tell from the track what they eat, because they have the two sides of the track, so they've got hooves. And if you're looking at a carnivore track, they've got 4 toes and a pad. So that's one of the easiest differences between the carnivores and the herbivores. So if you can get that far, then that's half the battle won. And it was very elongated, and the size of it, there's nothing else you can confuse it with. Even a buffalo isn't as big as a giraffe track, it's about half the size, and it looks like 2 kidneys opposite each other. Unfortunately, not much else going on here, so I think let's continue on. Ah, brilliant. And correct answer. Laura and Rob, Sharon, coming back with the correct answer for African hawk eagle. Jennifer as well, well done to you guys for getting the bird right that was sitting in the tree, African hawk eagle. Joanne and Anne as well. Well done to you all. Quite a nice bird to have a look at as well. And they do used to work as a team. So one will distract prey and the other one will dive in underneath. A bit like the black eagles. The black eagles will do that with dassies, or the rose eagles as they're now called. And one will fly right above the face where the dassie or the hyrax will sit, and they'll distract. So the dassie's looking at that eagle while the other one comes underneath and snatches them off the cliff face. Quite amazing. Away from the dam, well, quite far actually. Just try and get out the signal area, or the bad signal area. But we have got the owner of the track from the Hudong. Well, probably not the owner, because as I say, it was quite old, but the species of whose track it was. Beautiful bull giraffe. And you can tell it's a bull, is very dark, so even from here it is most likely to be a bull. But we do have to just check, just to make sure, because I have seen the odd female. Oh, there is a female coming into view now. I have seen the odd female who is fairly dark in colour. So I do just want to check that out. There's definitely a female crossing in front. And actually, this could be one of those that is a female. Yeah, I think it is, a very dark female. Which just goes to prove you do have to just double check. But generally speaking, males are supposed to be dark in colour. They're supposed to be much darker than females. But I have also seen fairly light males. And they will get dark with age. And a lot of that will be based on genetics as well. So I'm just going to try and roll forward. Now I just want to say a quick hello. Apparently my cousins might be on board this afternoon. So a quick hello to Ross and Lucy with their 2 little ones, Bex and Saren, and I'm really hoping you're seeing the giraffes this afternoon. Yeah, that is a female. You can see even the horns, a little bit of fur on top, and again, you can't use it as a foolproof method of seeing if it's a male or female. Because the males, the fur tends to wear off as they fight, but I have seen females who also don't have much fur on top of the horns because they rub it against the trees. But she is she's probably the darkest female I've ever seen. The female's having a scratch, she's just walking over the bush there. That's the problem when you're so tall and you've got such a long neck, you can't get to that itch underneath your leg very easily. And just amazing here. I'm just going to pull forward a little bit, but I think that dark female has crossed the road. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I think she's gone behind the thick bush. There's another giraffe just to the right as well. So this is where you guys have been hiding. Now I did call them horns, but the correct name is ossicones, because they don't have keratin over the top like the antelope do. And actually that was the question that was coming in earlier. Ah, there we go. Nice. Nice clear view. You can see on top of the ossicones there that fur I was talking about. And you can see the ossicones are quite thin, whereas on a male they're quite fat and short, and a lot more robust for fighting. But somebody was wanting to know, we're not too sure who sent in the question, but they were wanting to know how the antelope get the protein. And it's from the bacteria in the stomach. When the bacteria die, that helps to break down the vegetation. I was hoping we'd get another view of those giraffes, but they've just gone too far now. But brilliant to see. First giraffes for the week since I've been back. Very, very cool. So yeah, so they'll use, oh, giraffe's just poking its head out there behind the bush. And even the giraffe have this bacteria. They are a ruminant, they will chew the cud, and they chew the food that they've taken in, chew it down really nice and mushy, and it's a shame it's not facing us. Because if you watch a giraffe's neck carefully, you can actually see the food it throws back up to re-chew. Oh, this is our dark female. Very cool. You can see that red-billed oxpecker on her looking for any ticks in the fur. But yeah, it's about a tennis ball size that moves up and down the neck. It is amazing. I can sit there and watch it all day. It's quite mesmerising. But if you see the neck straight on and they start chewing, especially if you go to zoos, have a look at the giraffe there. It's amazing to see. You just see that food being thrown up into the mouth so they can chew it and get it really nice and mushy, and then they swallow it down into their second and third and fourth stomach. Ooh, something just spooked her. Ooh. What just happened there, lady? She found a hole and she just put a foot in it or something. Sometimes they can do that. I can't see any movement in there. Yeah, I think maybe she just tripped over something. I can't see any movement or hear anything in there. I'm just hoping maybe something will pop out the bush coming this way. It didn't quite happen. So yeah, so when they chew this around, make it nice and mushy, they swallow it down, and then the bacteria that's in the stomach can attack it even further, and all the big bits will come back up again and be re-chewed, and all the small bits will go through the rest of the stomach, and when that bacteria dies, that will go through the stomach, and that's where they get a lot of the protein from. So it's amazing, just the circle of life just continuing just like that. Absolutely fantastic. So I just thought if we have a couple more minutes here just to make sure there isn't anything there, but I think she must have just put her foot in a hole or maybe tripped over a log or something. So we'll carry on, but giraffes are one of those animals that I will trust till the cows come home. If they say there's something there, they mean there's something there, and quite often it will just be from a look, and they'll just watch, because obviously they've got that height. It's very difficult to sneak up on a giraffe. The eyesight is absolutely fantastic, and it's right up there, 4 or 5 meters high above obviously a lot of the trees so they can see what's going on, and they just look around, and as I say, anything coming up they'll just sit and watch, or stand and watch. And if you get a group of them just watching all in the same spot, then you know there's something there and you must go and have a look, because it will be some form of cat or carnivore. They won't necessarily give an alarm call, but there'll be something there, and they've pointed me the right direction a few times. Scratch that. Most of the time, there's been once I was very disappointed. I was getting so excited. I think we will carry on, but I'll tell you the story. I got so excited. It was the first time I'd ever heard the giraffe give an alarm call, and it was actually a bit of a cough and a snort. I thought, awesome! I know where the lions are. This has got to be a leopard, so I'm saying to my guests, come, let's go. We've got a leopard, come. Giraffes are telling me. Get around the corner. No, it's a cow, it's on the opposite side of the fence. And I won't mind, but these giraffes would have lived with these cows on the other side of the fence for quite a long time. But no, apparently that day, and I was sat there for ages, and I thought maybe it was something. No, it was looking right at the cow. So that was the only time, but otherwise, they don't point you in the wrong direction at all. Always listen to the giraffe. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry for that dip in the signal. We actually went through a little bit of a low area just after those giraffes. We're on Gowrie Cut Line, and we're just about to come on to Central, heading towards Gowrie Dam. Just wanted to have a check of that jackalberry. That's one of Hula's favourite trees. Maybe she's passed on that haunt to some of her cubs. No one in there today. I don't think we're going to be able to make it to... Excuse me. Oh, there we go. Just went my whistle a little bit. It's gone very humid here, and you can see there's clouds really nicely now, but it's still quite high, so I don't think it's got a problem with the rain as yet, which is good. And Suzanne, welcome on board this afternoon, Suzanne. I think you're from Tennessee. Good to hear from you. Suzanne wanting to know, how do we keep domestic animals in the bush without them getting harmed? So maybe you're picking up on about my little dog Tucker and this. Dogs tend to be the animal that people have on reserves. And unfortunately it's one of those, you've got to let nature take its course as well. Tucker is actually, he is a bush dog. He thinks he's Jock of the Bushveld. And he's very intelligent, so I've actually, he does listen. If I say no, he does listen, and he actually does remember. So he growls at snakes, but he knows not to go near them, so he does let me know if there's any cobras and things around. And he growls at leopards. He actually started howling leopards at one stage, and I told him not to. So now he just gives us a little low growl, lets us know that there's something there. But he has barked at the leopard before. We were following tracks, and tracks were fresh. There were probably 2 or 3, maybe older. Looks like Wonder Boy in Gowrie Dam, and there's the grey heron just on the right there. We'll just have a quick stop and say hello. Anybody on board that hasn't been seeing the grey heron? Gives me a chance just to check on the other side of the dam wall just to see if there's anybody around there. I was hoping we might get some movement. Oh, I can hear the Scops owl. it's gone quiet now. It's a little bit early for it, but it is overcast and fairly dark. There goes the grey heron juvenile. So yeah, so we're following this this trail, and I thought, okay, cool. There's been leopard in the area, but it's not close. My dog, as he does, he walks up ahead. And I thought, okay, cool. He tends to taste good. And I look up after he started barking. I thought, that's unusual. This dog does not bark. He barks when he's in his sleep, when he's sleeping, but that's about it. And I look up and I just see the tail of the leopard disappearing about 30 meters just off the roadside. But what was interesting is we carried on following the tracks. We actually carried on past the area, and those tracks didn't fit. It was a different leopard. I was correct in the time. So I don't know, this leopard actually turned around and came back. So it was quite far down that we followed these tracks. But it was a different leopard entirely. We didn't see the leopard, we just saw the tail. Yeah, as I say, very brave little dog. But occasionally leopards do attack dogs. I've never used hate with animals, but there does seem to be this hate between leopard and dog. Leopard not liking dog at all. Actually, let's turn around and go the other way. Go and check out the hyena den on the way through. Maybe we'll go hyena den and then through to the part of the plains. See if we can't hear any lions roaring. So I think we've pretty much covered all of the dams here. Oh, welcome back everybody. Sorry for the signal drop. We were just on the other side of Inga's house by the quarantine, and we're now just heading down towards Philemon's cut line, so hopefully you'll stay with us now. But maybe there's something in the atmosphere. Maybe there's some gremlins around. But hopefully you're going to stay with us now. It looks like there's going to be quite a nice sunset over the east there. Sorry, over the west. Somewhere there. Keep an eye on it, hopefully. It's still a little bit too high for it to start raining. Sorry, who was that from? Right, Jeffrey in Texas, welcome on board this afternoon. And I haven't seen the movie, I didn't even know there was a movie about a leopard and a dog. A leopard that was actually brought up with a dog. I just am sure if they actually knew each other, they would get on fairly well, but it just seems to be this... I just say, hate is not really the right word. I'd never like to use hate with any animal. They're not, I don't think they're capable of hating, but I think leopards come as close as you could to hating dogs. You do hear fairly often of them attacking dogs. I know on the reserve that I worked at, there was a leopard that attacked the dog there, and I know one or two dogs around this area also being attacked. But that, as I say, that's the thing. This is their home, their environment. We bring these animals in. We've got to expect that sometimes you are going to have problems. As I say, we've just got to teach them the ways of the bush and hope that they're savvy enough to take those lessons on board. And most of them are. As I say, I actually keep my little dog in my tent with me at night, so it's not vulnerable. Bella just sitting behind the bush. Thought I saw a little dark shadow there. Let's go around. So we're now at the other hyena den on Coolman's Cup line, just to see if we can check in with little Ntumbela, which means to hide. She was in this hole here opposite us. So she actually peeked her head out just as we were saying goodbye. So I'm hoping she might just do the same. Now I don't know if there's any adults around. It is possible they are close by and they're sleeping. Or it could be that they're further afield. So I thought I saw a shadow next to the bush, but maybe it was just a shadow. So I thought we would incorporate a number of ideas from everybody. Some people were saying we should have an African name for the little hyena, and some people said Heidi because it was hiding. So I thought if we combine the two, and I thought it was actually quite a nice name, Ntumbela. And probably get shortened to Bella, which is very fitting for this little hyena as well. But just like the other hyena den that we had a look at earlier on, this is quite bare, and as the little one grows, if she does stick around this den, and that'll be up to Mum, she might move her from den to den, but for the time being it looks like they're going to carry on using this den. Then she'll start chewing on the vegetation, and all of that vegetation is going to be disappearing bit by bit as she gets older, and she starts chewing on it and strengthening her jaws. And with her being by herself, she doesn't have any playmates, so she's probably going to take it out on the vegetation even more than what she would do if she had a little playmate. And then when she gets old enough, she may be moved to a communal den where there'll be other cubs, and again, with her being on her own, Mother might wait until she's fairly old, although if her mum's a high-ranking female, then other cubs will know not to touch her. So it depends on the ranking of this female as to where she's going to be in the clan. And as I say, if mum's not around, it is safe for her to stay inside. That's why I was quite amazed that she did pop her head out earlier on today when we just popped by on morning drive. And it was almost like she came out to say hello. But maybe she's in a very deep sleep. Okay, well, let's continue over towards Rebecca's Road. Seems as it's all very quiet here. In the last few minutes of drive, you never know what we might bump into. It is... Oh, she says. Sorry, lady. You were too quiet. Ephraim, come in. Yeah, that was very impressive, I've got to say. A lot of people being very impressed with Brian keeping up with the grey heron. So for those of you who might never have seen a spotted hyena this close before, it is actually I think they're quite cute creatures, and it is nice to see them so close. And I think maybe so relaxed as well, because I say a lot of people have a wrong impression of hyenas, and they can actually be very caring, especially when you see them with their babies. Now I think this is the youngster who we saw the other day, the juvenile. Oh no, I can see a notch in the ear. This could actually be Mum. Mum did have a couple of notches, one in each ear. So maybe the London bear is actually sleeping quite soundly inside the hole. You can see Mum's not fazed by us at all. We didn't get a clear view of Mum last time, so I just happened to notice the notches on her ears, so maybe someone can see if that was the right place for the notch on her left ear. And Bezekaya active. had a scent of something. And obviously with baby being so close, she's going to be on high alert. So if this isn't mum, this could be babysitter. So this one does have a little bit more fur than what I thought mum had. Go ahead. Fermented filament dip. More than welcome, pull in. Just one and busy at the moment. And the evening chorus from one of the Franklins there, the Natal Franklin. And a couple of questions just before we say goodbye to you. I think someone was asking, couldn't quite hear who was asking about how old males are before they leave the clan. And they mature usually around 2 or 3 years of age, if I remember rightly. But remember, males are very submissive to females. So the females are the more dominant of the two. And the males, especially if they want to mate with a female, he almost has to bow in front of her and go through this whole ritual of almost asking if he's allowed to mate with her, which apparently is quite something to see. But the clans are usually the females and offspring, relatives, so daughters and sisters. And the males tend to be nomadic. And someone was asking about the biting pressure of a hyena, and as luck would have it, I do remember writing it down. So just give me a second, as me and numbers do not really get on very well, as I'm sure you've heard. 1,500, yeah, 1,500 psi, pounds per square inch. So some of the strongest jaws in the animal kingdom. I thought it was about that, but I just wanted to double check. But lovely to have. Oh, we should go this side, so you can all still see the hyena and not my ugly mug. Yes, I'm saying you're the beautiful one, not me. Oh yeah, beautiful. Thank you very much for joining us here on Wild Earth this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed the drive. We've had some wonderful Ellie sightings, and obviously the giraffe as well. A couple of whodunits and a few bird calls and bird IDs as well, so well done to everybody there. Thank you for all your questions. It's been wonderful hearing from all of you this afternoon, and from myself, from Brian on camera, and of course the thumb, and back in final control Andrew. Take care, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning here on Wild Earth at Djuma Game Reserve. Bye for now.